If you visited Disney California Adventure during the 2000 or 2010s, there was a good chance you spent at least a few minutes in one of its strangest lands. It was colorful, it was tiny, and almost everything around you was designed to make you feel like you had suddenly shrunk down to the size of an insect. Welcome to A Bug's Land. Today, almost nothing remains of this little world. The land was completely removed to make room for one of Disney's California Adventure's biggest expansions. But A Bug's Land actually played an important role in the history of the park. To understand why, we have to go back to when Disney California Adventure itself opened. When Disney California Adventure opened in February 2001, Disney expected it to become a major companion park to Disneyland. But the park immediately received criticism. Instead of feeling like a fully immersive Disney theme park, many guests felt that the park was missing the detail, atmosphere, and storytelling that made Disneyland so popular. Some of the park's original areas were especially criticized for feeling more like generic California attractions than Disney experiences. And Disney quickly realized that the park needed some major changes. One of the first major additions would come from a Pixar movie that had been released just a few years earlier. That movie was A Bug's Life. Released in 1998, A Bug's Life was Pixar's second feature film and became a major success. So Disney decided to bring the world of the movie into the theme park. But there is one problem. The movie wasn't really big enough to justify an entire massive land. So instead, Disney took a relatively small area of the park and transformed it into something completely different. A Bug's Land officially opened on October 7th, 2002. And the idea was simple. You weren't supposed to feel like you were walking through a normal theme park. You were supposed to feel like you had become an insect. Everything was exaggerated. Plants were enormous. Everyday objects became gigantic, and even the ground underneath you was designed to make the environment feel like a miniature world. The entrance featured a great pile of discarded human objects, including things that insects might encounter in a backyard. And right in the middle of it all was Flik's Fun Fair. This small collection of rides inspired by the world of A Bug's Life. For a park that had been criticized for feeling too much like a collection of unrelated attractions, A Bug's Land was actually very cohesive. Everything had a purpose. Everything was designed around the same story. And most importantly, it was fun for families. The centerpiece of the land was Flik's Fun Fair. Instead of massive thrill rides, Disney built several smaller attractions designed primarily for children and families. One of the first was Flik's Flyers. Guests climbed aboard colorful vehicles that looked like homemade flying machines built by Flik himself. The ride spun guests above the land, giving them a view of surrounding area. Then there was Francis's Ladybug Boogie. This ride featured colorful ladybug vehicles spinning around a circular track while guests listened to the music inspired by the film. There was also Tuck and Roll's Drive-'em Buggies, a bumper car style attraction where younger guests could drive around and bump into each other. And then there was Heimlich's Choo Choo Train. This attraction was probably one of the most memorable parts of A Bug's Land. Guests climbed aboard a caterpillar train and traveled through an oversized picnic. But Heimlich, the lovable caterpillar from the movie, was constantly stopping to eat everything he could find. Watermelon, cookies, carrots, and plenty of other giant pieces of food. The entire ride essentially was a simple joke: Heimlich is hungry. And honestly, that's what made it work. It wasn't trying to be an intense thrill ride, it was designed to be charming. But A Bug's Land had another attraction that was actually located just outside the main area of the land. That attraction was It's Tough to Be a Bug. The show opened with Disney's Animal Kingdom in Florida in 1998, but California Adventure received its own version when A Bug's Land opened. Guests entered a giant theater designed to look like they had traveled underground into an insect colony. The attraction combined 3D effects, animatronics, smells, air blasts, and physical effects. The show was hosted by Flik and featured characters from A Bug's Life explaining what life was really like for insects. Of course, things didn't go according to plan. The show eventually demonstrated why being a bug isn't always as easy as it looks. For many California Adventure guests, It's Tough to Be a Bug became one of the park's more memorable attractions. And unlike many of the rides in A Bug's Land, it was actually designed to appeal to a much wider range of ages. A Bug's Land may not have been the most impressive area in the Disney theme park universe. There's no huge roller coasters, there wasn't an elaborate dark ride, there wasn't a massive castle or iconic landmark, but the land served an important purpose. It helped make California Adventure feel more like a Disney park. And that was becoming increasingly important as Disney began fixing many of the problems with the original park. Over the years, Disney added attractions like The Little Mermaid, Cars Land, and Buena Vista Street. The park gradually transformed, and as California Adventure became more immersive, A Bug's Land started to look a little less important. Then, Disney made a much bigger plan for the future. In 2017, Disney announced something would eventually seal A Bug's Land's fate. The company revealed plans for a brand new land based on the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The new area would become Avengers Campus, but there was a problem. Disney needed a large piece of land to build it, and A Bug's Land was sitting right in the middle of the perfect location. So Disney made a decision. A Bug's Land would close. The land officially shut down on September 4th, 2018, and for many long-time California Adventure visitors, it was an end of an era. Almost immediately, demolition began. The colorful structures disappeared, the giant plants disappeared, the rides disappeared, and eventually the entire world of A Bug's Life was gone. The transformation was pretty dramatic. Where families had once ridden Heimlich's choo-choo train, Disney was now building a completely different experience. The future was Marvel, and instead of shrinking guests down to the size of insects, Disney wanted guests to feel like they had entered the world of superheroes. A Bug's Land was replaced by Avengers Campus, which officially opened in 2021. The new land brought attractions such as Web Slingers, a Spider-Man adventure, and Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, along with restaurants, shops, and superhero encounters. The change represented something much bigger than simply replacing a few rides. It showed how dramatically California Adventure had evolved since opening in 2001. Interestingly, not every part of A Bug's Land simply disappeared. Some of the attractions were removed entirely. Others were replaced or reimagined. The area where A Bug's Land once stood was transformed into Avengers Campus, meaning that the physical footprint of the old land is now almost completely unrecognizable. And that's one of the strangest things about theme parks. A place that may have been a huge part of someone's childhood can disappear almost overnight. One generation remembers riding Heimlich's choo-choo train. The next generation grows up knowing the same location as the home of Spider-Man and the Avengers. Looking back, A Bug's Land is an interesting case. It wasn't the biggest Disneyland ever built. It wasn't the most technologically advanced, and it probably wasn't going to remain at California Adventure forever. But it accomplished what Disney needed it to accomplish. It was colorful, it was immersive, it gave families with young children several attractions to enjoy, and perhaps most importantly, it helped California Adventure move away from the identity crisis it had when it first opened. And even though Disney eventually decided that Marvel was a better investment for the future, A Bug's Land remains an important chapter in California Adventure's history. Today, if you walk through Avengers Campus, you probably wouldn't realize that an entire world of insects once occupied the same space. The giant vegetables are gone, the cardboard boxes are gone, Heimlich is gone, the rides are gone, and A Bug's Life itself has become a much smaller part of the Disney parks than it once was. But for anyone who visited California Adventure between 2002 and 2018, A Bug's Life is still remembered. It represents a very specific era of Disney's California Adventure, an era where the park was still trying to figure out exactly what it wanted to be. And in a strange way, that's what makes A Bug's Land interesting. It wasn't just a land based on a Pixar movie. It was a part of the story of how Disney California Adventure went from one of Disney's most criticized parks into the much more immersive park we know today. So the next time you're walking through Avengers Campus, take a second to look around, because underneath all the superheroes, Spider-Man technology, and Marvel references is a piece of Disney history that is almost completely gone. A tiny little world where everything was huge, a world where a caterpillar could take you on a train ride through a picnic, a world where a bug was tough, and a world that for 16 years was a small but memorable part of Disney California Adventure. That world was A Bug's Land. As the video wraps up, I just want to thank you guys for sticking through to the end of the video, and it would be great if you guys could like and subscribe. That would really help the channel out, help the video reach more people. And just let me know what you guys think down in the comments below about A Bug's Land. Did you guys ever had a chance to experience it? Are you happy now that it's Avengers Campus? Would you prefer it over Bug's Land? Let me know. And I just hope you have a great rest of your day, and thanks again for watching.